The best way to get better at programming is to practice. In this example, we're going to read in a file a list of people's names. We're going to convert those to a username, and then we're going to write the username to an output file. There's some starting code already written in the sample file that's available for download using a link provided in the description below. You can pause this video, practice it on your own, and check your answer, or if you get stuck, come back and check it. All right, so let's get started. Notice I've already done the code to open our two files and to close them. So this part's pretty easy, as is the next part where we're just going to loop through our name in files. So I'm going to say for line in name in. And we've seen this before in some of the code that we've done. Next, we're going to take this code and do a couple of things with it. Now, based upon our sample input that was provided, we know that we're going to have capitalized names, and we need to make this all lowercase. So I'm just going to say line equals line dot lower. What this does is it makes everything lowercase so that it's a little bit easier to work with. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we need to slice up our username. Now, a great way of doing this is looking to see where is our space. Luckily, Python provides this in our string functions. So I'm going to say where equals line dot find. And this find command is used to find where a character or substring of characters is. I'm going to go ahead and just put the space. It's going to return the character number for where I am inside of my string. Next, I'm going to create a username based upon this information. So the way I'm going to do it's very simple. I'm going to say username equals line, and I'm going to slice off just that very first character, 0:1. So start my 0 character, that's my very first character, and go 1 characters in. Then I'm going to concatenate this string, that single character, with another string. What string is that? The rest of the last name. Well, how do I know what that is? Well, quite simply, it's going to be line, and it's the variable where. This is where that space is, so this is going to include the space. It's going to say +1. Now, I don't know how many extra characters there are, so I'm just going to say colon. And when I do that, it's going to say, let me get the rest of my information. Now, what happens if I have a last name that has maybe 2 spaces in it or something like that? Well, that's easy enough to fix. I'm going to username equals username dot replace. What am I replacing? A space, comma. What am I replacing it with? Nothing. Okay, so there's a space in my first one. There's no space in my second one. Now you might say, well, why don't I just use username.replace? That's because strings are what we call immutable. They can't change. So we have to technically create a whole new string and put it into the exact same variable name. Once I have this, however, it's real easy. All I have to do is say out, which is my output file, .write username. And then I'm going to concatenate the new line character. Because remember, I want these each on their own separate line. Now, if I do this, I'm not going to see any output. So I'm just going to add a print statement with my username, just so I can see that it's working. I'm going to take this, click run, and you see a list of all my names here. If I check my username file, you can see it. Now you might go, well, why does it have this extra space in here? And I saw this extra space down here as well. Why does it have that space? Well, unfortunately, it's because it also read in that space at the end. So how am I going to fix this? Well, I can fix this real easily with only one line of code. I'm going to say line equals line.strip. And strip is going to remove any white space at the beginning or the end of my string. Now if I go and run this again, you'll notice on my output there's no spaces here. And if I click on usernames.txt, there's no extra spaces there. So it created perfect, just my usernames. That's it. This will make it a lot easier to import into another program or another file or anything else that I want to use. If you're getting better at your programming, looking at code like this, I encourage you to subscribe so you can see other examples that we have on how to get better with programming.